All
Hey,
right. Hey, guys.
super excited to talk to Adam today, get a little peek into his business, kind of how he got started, what he's doing now, and hopefully it'll help everybody out in their journey. I love listening to other people's flipping business and figuring out how they did stuff and the steps they took. So we're going to bring Adam on and he's going to share with us a little bit more about kind of what his journey was and how he got into the stuff that he's doing right now.
All right. We are in the right spot.
Sweet.
So we should be good to go. I'm gonna pull Adam
Let's
in.
do it.
All
Adam, thanks for jumping on here today and spending some time with us. Greatly appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
right. Glad to have you here. So, yeah, thanks for being a part of our group too and helping us in the groups with all the people with their appliances and stuff. So, we'll dive into part of that in the
Yeah, in
business
just a
too.
minute for sure.
But before, like, we've been doing a couple of these interviews because we want to really help people know a lot of times it's easy or you see, like, you don't think you can do it. So, we want people to, like, you can do this business. So, just trying to help people gain confidence in themselves and in this business. So, like, how did you get started in your flipping business? How did you get started flipping?
Really, it started, my mom helped me. She had been selling on eBay for years, and she would mostly do yard sales and flip, vintage items and just, small stuff like that she had an interest in. And over a winter break, she came here for a couple weeks and we sold a few things from around the house. And then I went to the thrift store and found an old Coleman stove that for $10, and I flipped it for 150. Like the next day it sold on eBay. And I was like hooked like that. So that's been,
Awesome.
How can
yeah.
you not be hooked when you say that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just really, I saw the opportunity there to make some extra money on a flexible schedule. And I'd been wanting for years to find a side hustle. And I looked at things like real estate or just weird, like picking up poop, dog poop and stuff in yards and stuff. And then I found this and it was like, no, this is it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So fast forward now and tell us kind of what your niche is. What are you doing now in your flipping business? You started out with smalls. You got a taste of a higher profit flip. What are you doing now in your flipping business?
Yeah, it was shortly after, those initial thrift stores and finding things at the thrift stores and yard sales that I found Flea Market Flipper through Side Hustle Nation. And I got into doing sleep number beds and appliances, basically through working through your sourcing workshop and working with Stacy and you guys. And that's really when the high profit items started, and it was reliable to source in my area from Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and things like that. Since that time, I've really, what I've settled on is appliances and appliances parts. I've just found that it's been, with my schedule, I have 2 kids now and I work a full-time job as well, that the small parts are easy for me to ship and they just work into my schedule really well versus having to dedicate larger chunks of times to, packing up a large range or a cooktop or something. I can kind of do 15 or 20 minutes here of parts and it really works with my schedule really well. And I find them interesting. I've learned a lot about testing them and, electrical work and things like that. And I find it really, kind of interesting to work with.
I know you've helped out some of the people in our group too. Like there's been people that need a part for something and it's a perfect. So you have it. And I know Ruby was one. She was missing something on a cooktop, right? And then you were able to help her out with that, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
No.
I was just going to say, so you got into parts. Are you looking for appliances that are broken? Are you looking for appliances that are working? How did you get into that niche of getting into parts?
Making bad purchase decisions, sourcing, finding, because not everyone on Facebook Marketplace is totally honest, or they just don't know what they have. And so one time I bought a Gen Air downdraft that normally would get you $1,000 on eBay. And I got it home and I realized, oh, the glass top is cracked and oh, this part of it's not working. So I basically have a piece of junk, and then I said, well, maybe I can sell it for parts on eBay. And so I put the whole thing up as, not working for parts and put it on auction and no bids. And then I said, well, let me take it apart. So I started taking it apart and I started selling the switches and the burners and the downdraft motor. And that it was really bad, just making bad decisions on my sourcing, and then learning how to not lose money on those decisions, you know?
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah, that thinking outside the
Making
box.
applesauce out of rotten apples. I love it. I love it.
I
Yeah.
like the saying.
I just made it up. It is a saying. No, but it's cool. It is true. And because a lot of people too will get hung up on, shoot, I did something, I bought something and I didn't see something wrong with it, or I got it. You really turned that around and you made it into, okay, well, let me not lose money on this. Let me start parting it out. And then it even turns your brain into the next level of, okay, well, if I did it with this, now I can probably make more money doing this, and it's smaller items to ship. So I can start looking for these to be able to part them out. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and you can actually, with broken appliances or older appliances, you can source them for extremely cheap. You know, it's people want to get rid of them, you know. So I source a lot of items for free nowadays. Any day of the week, I can go out and pick up a range off of off the curb. Or if one time I put an ad on Craigslist saying I would pick up appliances, and I had, by the next morning, like 10 responses. You know, it's overwhelming. You know, people normally have to pay someone to pick up their older appliances. So the inventory it's really easy to come by now, you know.
Yeah. That's all. I remember we walked by, was it a cooktop, or no, it was a range or cooktop in the trash. And he's like, I gotta take those knobs off. Those knobs are worth some money. So he kind of just swiped the knobs off of it
Yeah.
and sold
Yeah.
them on eBay. So I have a question about, okay, so you started to doing more parts because it just worked better for your chunks of time.
Mhm.
Are you making about the same, or like if you were to sell the whole as a whole, are you making more? Are you making less? Like what is that range? Or
Good question.
do you even like it? I mean, you're still obviously making money if you're getting free stuff, but
Right.
I'm just curious, like how that.
I would say selling appliances, if I was just focused on appliances as a whole, like selling the whole unit is more profitable.
Okay.
In I guess my time, it's hard for me to say, because in 2021, I did about 80,000 in sales, and I wasn't doing a lot of parts then. I was mostly flipping ranges and cooktops and sleep number beds. And then when my second son was born, my time got cut in half. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. So I make about half of that amount now, but I think it's more to do with
Time.
the amount of time. I'm still hourly making about the same, 50 to $100 on the high end of per hour if I calculated it out. I just have less time. So it's a good question. I do think it.
If you had the same amount of time, that you probably would be around the same.
I think
Sounds like.
Yeah, I think if I put the same amount of time in, it would be the same. And I'm smarter about in the beginning, I was flipping every part that I could, but now I focus on the high profit parts, the switches, the electronics. Some parts are not worth flipping, they just don't carry the return on it. Some knobs, you get $12 for, but you still have to package it and list it and stuff, but
Yeah.
some you get $50 to $60 for it, so.
Yeah, your time is definitely valuable.
Absolutely.
And your time is money. So I want to know how you manage. I know there was a little time, I think, when your second son was born that you kind of like you were busy. And so, but now you seem like you've kind of managing your time with being able to still have, spend time with your kids. You have a full-time job and
Mhm.
then still do this on the side and make it profitable. So how do you manage your time doing that? Like, what does your schedule look like?
Sure. The nice thing is I work remotely, so I'm at home right now, and I can ship and sometimes even source or pick up things during the day. If it's a local thing just across town on my breaks, I can package stuff. Usually pack up the day stuff on my lunch break, no problem. And so that's really helpful. And then at night after the kids get down and all the other duties are done, I've pretty much now spent an hour max on cleaning and listing, and then I ship during the day the next day. So I would say anywhere from half hour to an hour and a half daily is all I do, and I'm still doing. It's like maybe $500 to $600 a week, So it's really cut back, but it's not much time commitment, and it's a reliable source of income. And I know I could do more if I wanted to, but it's just worked out. I enjoy spending time with my kids, and this time of life is that's more important to me right now. But I'm still making, the mortgage every month just from this small little flip business at night.
Yeah,
That's awesome for sure.
yeah.
That's really cool. And you have it down to an art. I mean, you have the time, you have these little pockets in your day. You're utilizing the pockets the best that you possibly can. You're still not giving up your time with your family. So it's an amazing little business that you've built. And yeah, that's really exciting that you've been able to do this and really hone in on
An
these
hour,
skills.
hour and a half a day,
Yeah,
and you're still able to make that, and I think that is, you start to learn, like you said, just by doing, okay, these parts aren't really worth my time to sell, but these ones are. So you just know where to focus your time. And that's by doing and repetitive, I think is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I don't work weekends usually either, so it's really quite minimal. And I know if I were to lose my job or for whatever reason, if I turned this on and went 40, plus hours a week, I'd probably make more than what I make in my normal job. But
yeah.
it's just the health benefits and all the stuff of a normal career I'm still not ready to like make that leap. Although I do talk about it with my partner quite a bit on doing it.
If we weren't pushed into it, like if he hadn't lost his health benefits, we probably would have still not done it just because like of that, like kind of nervous. But then once we did it, like we had to do it. And it's like, okay, well, we're putting in, 10, 15 hours a week right now, 20 hours maybe. What if we do full time and we can both dedicate it to it? And so it was definitely, but there is more stress. So like now you have to pay the bills with it. So it's not like this extra fun money, vacation or whatever. It's not extra money anymore.
Yeah, it's your sole provider for sure. So it does bring some more stress onto it.
Yeah. Well, the last 3 years have really proved to me though that I do have that. I never knew I had this kind of entrepreneurial spirit and that I could do this, and it wouldn't scare me. I have this kind of like different attitude towards my job and my boss and like how much I'm willing to tolerate of what they're willing to give me. Cause I'm like, well, I don't have to take this. I can do, it gives me a lot of freedom in that sense.
That's awesome.
That's a cool way that is a very cool way to look at it. So that you have a way to provide if you do had it, you're up to here with the stuff they're requiring, or if you just lost your job, you have a way to provide for your family. You have a way to do what you're doing. It
takes a lot of stress off.
It does. It is. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. Can you tell us what would be probably one of your more memorable flips, like something that sticks out in your mind, like a fun story?
I know you had asked that, and I was trying to think, but appliance parts are so boring.
Wasn't there one time, oh, go ahead if you had one.
I like the vintage thrift store finds more than I like the bread and butter appliances are nice because of the money and it's easy. But, I've done I found some vintage fly rods that were really cool to flip and see I put them on auction, and it was just, it's more exciting, to watch the bids go up at the end. And the guy that got it was super happy, and, he's like, can't wait to use my new fly rod. So stuff like that really is memorable to me. And of course, that first Coleman stove, that just blew me away. And that woman that bought it was also very happy. She's like, I've had one of these since I was a kid, and ours is, those flips where you really kind of impact the buyer, they're just really fun, it's really rewarding.
Yeah, that vintage stuff is really cool too.
Like, it's fun to find it. It's fun to flip it. It's fun to connect the buyer with it. Yeah, it is. It's really cool.
You said you sold that the next day?
Yeah, maybe even that night. I put it on. Obviously, I listed it too low. That was pretty,
yeah. We just sold a vintage. What was it? The toy. Isn't that vintage?
I would say
90s. That's vintage, right?
90s, early 2000s, right around a kid's step 2 or something like that. A toy, and
like $200 though.
Could not believe somebody was willing to pay $200 for a little ride on roller coaster toy. So, but he wanted it bad enough that he spent $200 on the sucker. So I'll have to ship that out in the next day or two.
Yeah, cool.
So
yeah,
but
so I love how you, like, if you have a problem, like a broken thing, that you find a solution. So have you ever how do you come at those problems? Like a lot of times they make people shut down, like something happens and it's like, oh, I can't do this business. So what are some things like maybe that go through your mind? Like, okay, how do you go about finding a solution to those things? Is it just the way you're wired, or do you think about it?
There's I have a real sense of frugalness. I was raised that way, and I think Rob was too. I think from your story is, yeah, you make things work. Stacy is really in the group. I don't know if everyone knows Stacy, but Stacy is really inspirational in that. She's like, what is her thing? Everything is figure outable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if I think back to those early mistakes with the cooktops, I had a Wolf cooktop as well that I spent $200. I had overpaid for it. Got it home. One of the knobs was broken, and I let it discourage me, and I let it sit there for a while. And it was after I got the Gen Air one, and I figured, I can part these out, that I finally took it apart. And those knobs, the other 3 knobs that were on it, were worth $50 a piece. So I totally paid for the flip and just those 3 knobs. But strategy, I think it is a wired thing. I'm wired that way to not lose money and make good decisions. So
But it is kind of just the way you think about it. Like, I feel like if you come across a problem, it is something that can like hold you back. But then, like you even said, you set that wolf down and you didn't want to mess with it. And then you sold the other ones and you came back to it like, okay, I can do this. So it's just sometimes taking a step back and looking at reevaluating it and know that you can figure it out. So, because everything is figure outable.
Stacey said, yeah, that's one of her phrases. It's great. And I use it all over in my life now. Yeah, everything is, figure outable, and you make the mistakes and you can't be afraid of making them, because I've learned the most from them, and the group is great for that. You toss out, oh man, I did this. And then you're going to have like 5 or 10 solutions within an hour, probably, from the group of, you can do this, try this.
I love that too, because like what you said about mistakes, like you learn the most in your mistakes. Absolutely. And then you don't make those mistakes again, typically.
Yeah.
So, because that's,
I've only broken 1 cooktop to date, and then then I learned how to package them properly. And it can still happen, I'm sure, again. But,
but that first one, yeah. So, sure. What would you say? Anything else that you'd want to add to somebody, like to tell somebody if they feel like they're stuck in their flipping business? Or a piece of advice for another one would be for time management, because you've done a really good job managing your time with a very busy schedule. So if somebody feels like overwhelmed, how would you tell them to help manage their time?
For me, I really, maybe I'll relate this. When I used to never floss my teeth, and then I started flossing 1 tooth a night, and then you just realize, well, this is ridiculous, and you just stop flossing the rest of them. But so I make it a habit to list or clean 1 thing a day. And so it's really just a pushing through and getting that habit set. And then now, once you do that for 30 days, it's going to stick, or I don't know how many days it is, maybe 2 weeks, it's going to stick. So I try to do 1 small thing to get me unstuck, because I do get unstuck. I travel a lot for work. I do get stuck. And when I come back from those weeks of traveling, I don't want to get back into the eBay business. So I'll go a few days without listing. And I do a nightly journal with some gratitude and other things. And I always set a list of 3 priorities for the next day. And I just list 1 item on there. And once you get that 1 item listed, you start working on it. You start cleaning the next one. So it's kind of just that little thing to give you the momentum going in the right way, So I don't know. That would be a one recommendation.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice. And I think it just starts 1 foot in front of the other, like you said. Try to get that habit built and make yourself do it every single day. Pretty soon it's second nature. And you're traveling, so you kind of break up your routine. A lot of people aren't traveling. They don't have to travel like you might have to for work. Once you get in that, I think it's 21 days is the saying. If you can do something for 21 days straight, you build a new habit. If you can do that 3 weeks of, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make myself do at least 1 listing, cleaning, get it listed, and then start whatever you can do. Yeah, I think this is huge, great advice to everybody, myself included. Start to rewire your brain to go into that habit, and you will see the results.
Mm-hmm. That for me is the number 1 impact on sales. If you list every day, your sales will go through the roof. You might be like, well, I better stop listing because I can't ship all this stuff. But that is the most impactful thing. And yeah, just setting the habit. Mm-hmm.
I love it.
That's the thing, like, he gets into, I gotta get listed, and then you start doing it, and then it's like, "Okay, at night, I'm gonna get one thing listed, I'm gonna get one thing listed," and it just builds on each other. Then we start making sales, like, "I gotta get all this stuff shipped out now," which is a great problem to have, I mean.
Yeah. I was up until like 12 o'clock last night listing 3 items. I pulled 3 items. I'm trying to do 2 items a day. And I got behind the day before because I was tired. And I was up until 12 o'clock last night, taking pictures, doing videos, doing listings and all that stuff. And I'm trying to stay on that 1 to 2 items a day to get that habit built myself, because I've fallen off the bandwagon and I've done it. I usually will list a couple things. I'll get up to like 7 items listed and then I fall off and
It's
I
more
don't
fun
do it.
finding stuff.
It is. And that's one of those things that I'm trying to rebuild that habit in myself as well.
Well, one question for you on that would be, when you do bigger items, I know you do a lot of large items with good profit. How do you, it may not be as important to list every day, you know? I'm just wondering, do you still try to set that as a goal and list small in between the large items, or?
That's the key, is the small things in between the large items. And like last night,
Those
all
3
the
smaller items,
yeah, all the items that I listed were smaller items with higher profit. I mean, I probably listed $1,000 worth of items in 3 items, so they're higher profit. But the key is, like you said, it is the algorithms, eBay. Your sales will go through the roof if you can constantly keep that routine and list daily. If you can do that, you're not going to be able to keep up with your sales. And when you're getting into higher profit and larger items to ship, I'll get to a point, if I'm doing like 5 pallets a week, I'll go through 1 week and I'm like, okay, I got to take a week off. I want to take a break. I don't want to make any more sales. I want to take a week off. And that's how I get on those. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The more you list, the more your sales will come in. So I mix it with smaller items because I'm just like everybody. I mean, I have that money pile that's sitting in my shop or in my garage or stuff like that. Stuff that I can sell. I mean, I could sell for a year and still have enough inventory without buying another thing. I could totally do that. And that's what I'm working on this year, is getting all that stuff listed.
That's 2023 goal, right?
Yeah, but it is the consistency of doing it day in and day out. If you need to make money, you want to make money, get into that habit. You're 100% right. Get into that habit. And I do it more for the selling. So if I'm doing it day after day, I want the sales to come in. I want the products to move. I want to get the stuff out. That's my biggest thing, is building that routine, building that habit so I can keep the sales coming in daily.
Yeah, I'd like to do a study. I've never looked at it, but I would like to look at my sales with daily listing versus, kind of sporadic listing, just to show it on a graph. I think it would be really, but
I mean,
Absolutely.
you can definitely feel it when you're shipping stuff out and
Yeah.
feel the
there's
feel
no, there's no
Yeah.
doubt.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, even just activity, like since I list on a daily basis, like you guys know, I'm not listing items for $20 or $30. Like the lowest item, even last night, I think the lowest item I listed was $200. The activity and people messaging me on other items and just the activity in my eBay store is huge. I mean, you start to see all aspects of your business will start blowing up. If you can consistently build that routine, it will just start happening. So Melissa gets comments on social media saying, "You guys are crazy. There's nothing selling right now. I have stuff I have to give it away." And I'm like, what planet are you living on? I mean,
It depends what you're selling.
it is, but
obviously,
legitly stuff is selling, and you have to build those routines. You have to help the algorithms on eBay see you
and
out
just
there
get
and
more
doing
numbers
it.
listed.
Absolutely. That's the big thing, is getting more stuff listed if you want to make more money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One
Yep.
thing you said too, I think is super helpful, is like you said, you go to your shop and there's that big old, we call it a money pile, not a death pile anymore, right? A money pile, but that can be overwhelming. So like when you're saying take one step, do one action, and then that makes it feel like this big old thing is
Obtainable.
not like
Mhm.
choking me anymore. Like I can do one thing. I
Yeah.
can do one thing a night or a day. Like I can do one.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it often leads to a second thing or a third thing. It's just, I got to get that one thing done, and then I'll start clean. I see that right next to it, oh, there's some things that need a little cleaning. So it's often I do 2 or 3 things, but I've only committed to the one. I don't know.
Overachiever. I love it. I love it.
Well, you get in that groove too,
Well,
and I think that helps.
I'm the same way, but I start to think about, okay, well, I got this one thing done now. I'm going to get a head start for tomorrow. I'm going to have this sucker cleaned. I get a picture, and then I get a head start for the next day. And then it keeps snowballing, which is cool.
Yeah. And those weeks that I'm traveling, I do try to list ahead, so then I can still post some items. I don't always do that, but that helps too. If you have some things listed ahead, and you can still do your daily listing. But
Do you do drafts, or do you just have
Draft,
Okay.
yeah.
one thing that I did last night that helped me, I wanted to have 4 things listed last night. And by 12 o'clock, I was exhausted. I was like, I got to go to bed. I'm falling asleep. But I got 3 of those things listed. What I did is took the items that I knew I wanted to get listed. I knew what they were. I did the research so I could know exactly what what I needed to price the items that I had at. So last night I listed 2 RV and marine stove tops, and one was the AC. No, an outboard engine cowling is what I did. So in the daytime, when I knew I was going to do it at night, I jumped in, I did the research, I knew what the comps, I found the comps that I wanted, and I started the draft. So when I do listings, I go in and I find the item that I want to use as my comp, and then I hit sell one like this. I started that and it saves it underneath my drafts. I didn't have to do anything else other than save that. That started my listing. So when I sat down late at night and I got tired, I didn't have to think about anything. All I had to do is jump into that draft, put my pictures in, and then go through the process and do it. So that helped me last night doing that. So I'm trying to do that when my mind is working a little bit better in the daytime, get those drafts started, or even one draft started. And then when you sit down at night and finish up that sucker, it just helps you. So that helped me last night. Maybe it'll help somebody else.
Yeah, that's really smart. Knowing when you have the most energy or the most brain power that day, and then focusing on those tasks. Then I like that.
Yeah.
And then you're not falling asleep doing your listing.
Exactly.
Putting in pictures of the wrong item.
Yeah. Which I probably should go back and check my listings from last night just in case.
I've done that before. I've been tired and I put in the wrong pictures.
Or you didn't say the right things in the description. So that's one of those things. So
go back and check.
Cool. Well, Adam, I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you for jumping on here. I know whoever watches this, everybody who's on here live, even, you'll get some nuggets out of this. It's so great just to see other people's businesses, get a little peek into it, know how they're doing stuff. So yeah, we greatly appreciate your time and just all that you do in the group and helping people. Thank you so much for what you do.
Oh, thank you, Rob and Melissa. It's a real pleasure to be a part of the group and to do this. I didn't even know there was other people on here.
Yeah.
We got a couple people live, and then other people will be watching it throughout the day.
Watch the replay in the group for the first $1,000 flip. So it'll be live, or the replay will be on there for when people want to watch it. So.
Yep. And any questions anybody has when you're watching it, throw questions in. I don't know how it works underneath this. You do that? Yeah. Comments, anything? I don't know. So any other comments you have or anything like that, even for Adam, if you have any questions for him, he is amazing at the appliances. He's amazing at doing the parts and stuff like that. So any other questions you guys have, please throw them in here. We'll get them answered. Adam will answer anything that he can. And we greatly appreciate everybody who's watching this.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome, Adam. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, you guys too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See ya.